for joining us. I am Elisa of Tailwind, and today I am joined by Kate All of Simple Pin Media. Hi, Kate.
Hello.
Hello. It's always nice to see you in your she shed.
You as well. You as well. We always have lots to talk about.
We do. So what are we talking about today? We had a special request.
Yes, promoted pins. This is going to be fun.
I hate talking about promoted pins.
Every time I have a question, I'm like, Elisa, I need your help. This doesn't make sense to me. So this, just so everybody knows, is going to be a complete learning lesson for me too, because I do promoted pins, but I am not as much of an expert as you are. So I am really eager to some of the questions that were on the sheet were very similar to what I have as well. Okay. So I'm gonna grill you. So
okay, good. I'm ready. Bring it. Bring it. All right. So should we just start with the first question?
Yeah, dive in. Let's do it.
Okay. How much should I spend on promoted pins? I bet you get that question, don't you?
I do. I get it a lot. I feel like this answer is it's evolved a lot over the last year, especially even the last 6 months. I would say that maybe 6 months ago, I might have said you could go as low as 10 cents. You know, Pinterest, when you're building your campaign, which we'll probably talk about in a minute, but they give you a range. Mm-hmm. And so they'll give you this too high, too low. And a lot of people will see the too low when they put in like 10 cents and they completely freak out. Like Pinterest isn't going to allow them to do it. But I tested a lot for a long time at that range and it was great. But I have seen within the last couple of months that those don't perform as well. So it tends to be that you want to go a little higher. So one I just ran was at 35 cents, but a click, and that's for a traffic campaign. Mm-hmm. But I think that is just changing a lot. So I'm super curious to hear what your answer would be now, because mine has definitely changed.
Yeah, well, I'm with you. And I saw that too, maybe the third week in June. Campaigns that had a real low bid were not being seen as much. And I talked to the Pinterest ad rep that we have, and she said, that changed. It was an algorithm that started not showing the real low bids as much anymore. Although I do know there are some people who are still getting super cheap, like 5 to 10 cent clicks. The reason for that difference, of course, is the targeting, right? So if I'm targeting keywords that you're targeting, we're competing against each other and we're raising up the bids. Mm-hmm. Right. So it just depends on how much competition there is going on, what you're going to have to pay. But as far as what you should pay, I'm with you. I was doing in the too low range. Like it would say a good bid for this targeting is $2.74 to $4.80, which
crazy. That's a huge budget.
Yeah, like that would be a great bid, but it's not going to happen.
Yes. Unless I'm going into debt.
Yeah, right. So I would try to get from, instead of too low, I'm trying to be in the low category, right? So It will change from red to kind of an orange or yellow when you're just low instead of too low. And that seems to work a little bit better. But I do have kind of a formula for figuring out what a click should be worth to you.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Yeah. Okay. So hopefully you know how well your website converts. Right. So how well does it convert from visitor to, let's just say, lead at this point? Or maybe we'll call it an email subscriber. So if we say your website converts at a 1% conversion rate, which is fairly low, right? You know, it's going to take 100 clicks to your website to get an email subscriber. Okay. So how much is an email subscriber worth to you? Just throw out an imaginary number.
I would say an email subscriber is worth to me, it might be worth $1. I would say. I don't know if that's, I need to do some more digging on this, but I mean, an email subscriber to me is worth a lot. Like I would say downline conversions, like I love getting email subscribers.
Right. So a lot more than $1.
A lot more than $1, maybe $5. I don't know. I'd have to really dig in and do the formula. So that's a really good question that I don't think I've dug into, but I need to.
Well, yeah, and this is kind of the technical way to do it. You can always do it by gut, but if you know,
but gut is never a good strategy. Let's say
it isn't. It's kind of what we all default to, but
right.
You know, if it's worth $5 to you, and you know it's going to take 100 clicks, to get that one email subscriber, then you can figure out how much a click is worth.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So now you've got that figure.
Note, by the way.
Okay, cool. So you've got that figure in your head, and that's a really low number, right? So what do we say? $5, it takes 100 clicks to get in there?
Yep.
Okay. But then you want to figure, okay, so that may be unreasonably low. What is that? 5 cents?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we can't bid that low. I know math is not my thing. I'm trying to think that while I'm talking. But we're also have to keep into account that we're going to get a lot more saves on our promoted pin. Mm-hmm. So that promoted pin is going to go out there and a lot more people are going to click on it. So you're going to end up getting more for your money than you think. So if you're thinking it's worth 5 cents, well, you're going to bid 10 because you have to anyway. But just figure out the conversion rate, what a conversion is worth, and how many it takes to get to a conversion. And then what's my favorite way of determining conversion? Google Analytics with goals. Yeah, so that's a great question from Vanessa. Favorite way of determining conversion. Not something anybody can do. So you can look at your email signups from the source of Pinterest and figure out how well they're converting. Then you'll know what you should be paying for every single click. Give it a little buffer because you know you're going to get extra, and that's what you should pay.
I've heard a lot of people too talk a lot about taking, maybe they're really good at Facebook ads and they've figured out how much their Facebook ad should be and the cost. And they try to take that and put that over on promoted pins. And while I think there's an element of that can cross over, you have to remember that the platform is totally different, like the way that they interact. So to take what you have on Facebook and your cost that's working for your ad over there can't necessarily translate directly to Pinterest. And so I think that conversion piece, especially like you said in the saving piece and what people might save for later and then act on it later, has a big impact on what the cost is going to be as well. Like, so I just think I want to throw that out there for people who try to apply Facebook logic to Pinterest logic. When ads, you just can't.
No.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's a lot of good things you can learn from your Facebook ads targeting and what is working, maybe some keywords or types of content. But what we found is that things on Facebook convert very differently than they do on Pinterest.
Yeah, that's true. And the other thing to keep in mind is I've heard people say, well, here's what I'm doing over on Pinterest for targeting. I want to replicate it on Pinterest. Well, the options are not the same at all. So I think it's important to compare, because if you're getting better results on Facebook, stick with Facebook. But maybe you're going to get better results on Pinterest. Definitely worth a try. And you can try to recreate to some extent, but it will never be the same.
Correct. Yeah. And I think too, one interesting point, like we started out with cost, but I would say even backing up from cost is like, what do you even promote? And that's a big question that I get to as well, is what type of content do I promote? Is it brand new or old? What's your thoughts on that?
Okay. Brand new or old? I think
so. Yeah. Brand new. Like I just wrote my post today, it goes live. Should I promote it on Wednesday?
Yes. And here's why.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think promoted pins are especially great for content that's brand new, right? Because a lot of the factors that Pinterest looks at when deciding what to serve up in the smart feed, a lot of that has to do with engagement on pins and how many people have already have pinned that. So your brand new content is a little bit of a disadvantage at first. I mean, now that we have hashtags, which we can talk about in a minute, there is a little bit of an advantage that we have there. But if you want it to be seen now to the most people, you want to promote it, right? Because it's going to go out, but that smart feed is going to hold it back a little bit. Now, if you use Tailwind Smart Schedule, it's going to get it out at the best time so that will increase your engagement, which means it will be seen more. But it's still, nothing's going to beat promoted pin as far as speed of getting your content out there. Okay.
Yeah, that's a really good, because for a long time, I always thought I wanted more organic traffic behind it. But now I'm kind of rethinking, more organic traffic behind it before I actually go into promoting it. So maybe giving it 2 to 3 weeks or even 6 months. I often tell a lot of people, look for those ones that are highest converting in Google Analytics and maybe promote that, especially if you have it's converting really well for you.
Well, that's 2 different things, right?
Okay.
So I would say that the organic action has nothing to do with how well your promoted pin is going to do. However, figuring out what you should promote, you're going to have a better chance of finding something or picking the right thing if you're already looking at what already works, right? Okay. So there's that advantage of looking at what works organically and then promoting it, which you can't do right away. But yes, organic action isn't actually going to change the results you'd get anyway, right?
Okay. Got it.
That makes sense.
Yep, it does. It does. I'm putting that all together in my head of how that would work.
Yeah. Okay. So we have this good question from Tony. Which is better, promoting a pin that takes you to a blog post or a landing page for a free teleclass? And I think we could say a landing page or a product page as opposed to a blog post. I would say that a blog post works better. And I think it's partially anecdotal and a little bit based on how we know Pinterest works. Mm-hmm. What do you say, Kate?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I tend to think that your blog post has a greater opportunity to warm them up as opposed to a landing page, which feels a little bit disorienting. We've tried doing it where we've promoted to like a free ebook or that leads into a course, this whole or a challenge. Yeah. And what we found is that people they aren't ready. And Pinterest users typically they need to be warmed up to things. They notice things that are out of place really quickly. When they hop on and they're like, this doesn't match what I thought it was going to be. And now I'm out of here. So I think with a blog post, and this also applies a little bit to affiliate marketing, like you can't just put up a product, right? A watch, but you have to kind of get them over to your site and kind of sell them on the benefits of the watch. Mm-hmm. Because when people make a purchase, they need to have the why. And I think your blog post has the ability to explain the why. So for me, example, I have the How to Master Tailwind course. Well, if I was just to lead them to the sales page for the course, which I have tried doing, it's something that I feel like is smart to do anyway to kind of open more like traffic sources, I guess. It's a trick that we do. But I find that the one that converts the highest is when people come to the blog post about how to master Tailwind and why we created it. That converts higher than coming cold onto a landing page. Yeah. So it's just really knowing the frame of your user and how they're usually primed to buy. And I think sometimes we forget about that and we forget they need like the ramp up, right? Like a plane just doesn't do lift up off the runway. Like it has to have a ramp. And so I think the blog post is a really good ramp.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then something you could do is if you wanted to promote that blog post with that lead magnet inside of it with a real strong CTA, you could then retarget people who engage with that promoted pin. So if they engage with it, but they weren't ready to sign up yet, you could send them directly to the landing page after that with a new promoted pin. So that would be kind of a way to do both. But I will agree. I have tried that, sending to a landing page, and it didn't work well. And I think part of it is what you said. And, most of the searches, like 97% of searches are unbranded. So people are really not ready for that yet. And they probably don't know you. So I completely agree. You need to warm them up with that blog post first. But you can absolutely target them later on with a direct link to a product or a landing page.
Which I know we have a lot of other questions, but I'll just say this. I'm so excited to talk about targeting because I think I will be honest and say as a typical online marketer, you hear the words targeting and you hear the words retargeting. And it sounds like one of those things like everybody else knows and you don't know, but you don't want to act like you don't know, right? And I know about it, but it feels like this very fancy somebody has an inroad. And I guess I'm identifying with those who are new in this whole advertising game on Pinterest or even on Facebook. Like that feels intimidating. And I think when you hear all those words, sometimes that's what makes people shut down and go, I'm out. Like, I don't want to try it.
I don't want anybody shutting down. So yeah.
Well, and I don't think very many people do, but I think there's that element of, maybe that's what we could jump into is explain what you mean by targeting and retargeting. And then what are like the baby step? How's that?
Okay, great. Well, let's start one level up from that.
Okay.
What kind of campaign should I run? As you said that very briefly, the answer is you should be running traffic campaigns. Unless you have the marketing budget to pay for brand awareness and brand lift, then you need to be running a traffic campaign. Otherwise, you could run an awareness campaign, which, just awareness. You pay for every impression. You could be running an engagement campaign where you pay for saves and close-ups. Mostly you end up paying for close-ups. Or you could do traffic where you only pay for a click to your site, and everything else you don't pay for. That I've tried them all, and that is what worked. Of course, we also have app promoted pins, video promoted pins, which we'll talk about in a minute. And we have one tap. So save your one tap for the retargeting we're going to talk about in a minute. And so let's talk about targeting. So there are a bunch of different ways you can target. There are the basic ones, like keywords, gender, location, device. Little insider tip that iPhone users tend to be the highest converting users. So when I run a promoted pin, I will usually separate them out by mobile and desktop. Then you can look at what's working. If one's more expensive, one's not converting, you can shut them off. But even if you don't run separate ones, you can still tell the different targeting and how it's affecting your cost and conversions. But I think mobile versus desktop is one of your bigger differentiators. So watch that. Now, something I just learned this week is, do you remember when they talked about search ads coming out?
Yeah.
In the spring. Okay. And we said, well, what in the world? Because we can already do keyword targeting, right? But your keyword targeting is really not keyword searches in the moment, right? It's more about what people are already saving, what kind of boards they're creating, what they're interested in. Search ads is, I go on Pinterest and I type in how to master Tailwind. And your promoted pin with that keyword targeting pops up in that moment. So what I learned this week is that we can all do that. We all have access to it. I did not realize that. But you have to use the bulk editor.
Okay.
Learn to love the bulk editor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the bulk editor, and there are even instructions in it under on the placement column, which will help you figure out how to make that work. But I found some kind of interesting differences in that I did a test where I ran a large number of ad groups that were just keyword targeted. Then I ran the same ad group as search targeted. Same keywords, same content. So comparing the keyword to the search, I got 66% more conversions on search. I spent about a third less.
Oh.
Yeah, I got 2/3 fewer saves for search, which is weird, right? But 5% more clicks. So it's just, I would say definitely try it, but I was interested to see what the results would be, and that's kind of an interesting little test there.
Well, and I think that illustrates the main point of this is all about testing. We can really get this, we can really give all the tools and the targeting and all that kind of stuff, but it's very unique to whatever the pin is or the keywords. There's no cookie cutter way to do it. There's just test, try this.
I will say though that the search ads, I was told by Pinterest that they would lead to more conversions, and they absolutely did. 2/3 more conversions for the search ads. So I would definitely try those. I know the bulk editor is scary, but try that. So I've had people ask, okay, I don't have audiences to target. Should I even bother? Yes, you should bother. You should target keywords and you should target search.
Okay.
But if you do have an audience, so if you have an email audience, definitely create that audience in Pinterest. And it's just as simple as going to ads, audiences, and uploading your email list. Very easy. You can also target people who've been to your website. Also very easy to set up. You can target people who have engaged with any pin that goes to your site. Also really easy to set up. So those tend to convert even better than keyword ads. Now, if you have a list that's under $100,000 people, you might find it's really hard to get enough impressions. So then you want to do an act-alike audience.
Oh, this is what I was most excited about, because the act-alike.
Really?
Yeah. I really hear a lot about that being super effective for people on Facebook. Now, I'm not translating Facebook to Pinterest, but I'm thinking that act-alike audience could be really powerful. So I'm super curious to hear more about that.
Okay. So if you let's say you set up a visitor audience, so people who have been to any page on your website, and you find out that converts much better than, say, your keyword ad. But you only have, let's say you have 20,000 visitors a month to your site. You're targeting maybe the last 3 months of visitors. That's only 60,000 people you're targeting. So you're getting great results, but it's not enough, and you can't really scale that anyway. So what you would then do is you would create an act-like audience of people who act like those 60,000 people.
Okay.
Right? So I always start with a 1% similarity. That would be the most similar. And that, I think, ends up to be like 710,000 when you do 1%.
Okay.
Yeah, so they find 710,000 people who are like your uploaded or retargeted list. So retargeting is basically just, there's a little bit of code on your site. So Pinterest knows that person went to your site. You can now retarget them. So you can say, anyone who's been to this page, show them this pin.
Super genius. And that for people is just adding the conversion pixel to your site, correct?
Yep. Yeah. It's very easy.
And even I did that, and I hate code. So everybody will see that in the drop-down menu in your ads manager. It says conversion pixel. Just create your tag and add it. Super easy, but this gives you all the information that Elise is talking about, which is super helpful.
Yes, it's very easy. Okay, so does that kind of answer your question about what
it totally does? Yeah, it gets my wheels turning too, as far as, really, I would say too, it reminds me that for promoted pins, there's a lot of groundwork that needs to be done and foundational work before you go in to build the campaign. Like, I think that's an important thing to think about too, is that it's not just pop open your computer, build a campaign, and you're good to go. There's a lot of strategy behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, even if you aren't using promoted pins now, absolutely add your conversion pixel, because in 3 months, if you want to target all the people who've been to your site in 3 months, you won't have that available. So you need to add it now so they can start collecting that data. And I just want to say thanks for being here, Melissa. Appreciate it. Okay, so we do have some questions. Let's look at what we have for questions here. Let's see. Can you elaborate about promoting video?
Yes, video and then hashtags. It's all
Oh yeah. This is on the list. Yep. Okay. So about promoting video pins. Yes. So you can do that now. However, it's quite expensive. So the only video pins I've seen personally are from big brands. How about you, Kate?
Yeah, that's only from big brands too, as well. It's like the tasty videos, a lot in the food space is what I've seen, but I haven't, we have a lot of food bloggers that are our clients. So I'm watching it and seeing how can they take their videos that they've created, and a lot of them are doing well on Facebook, and then do well on Pinterest. But like you said, the draw is it's expensive, and it's still kind of unknown.
Yeah. So I think the minimum is $6 per 1,000 impressions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what you're doing with video promoted pins is you're getting awareness, right? And it says that even if you were to select that kind of campaign in Pinterest, it says it's for awareness. So it's not for if you want clicks, it's not for if you want immediate sales. And most of the people that we work with, they need the clicks. So I don't have any clients using them. I don't have any immediate plans to use them. But what is really cool to me, and what's even more expensive, is the ones where you can get your video and then more promoted pins below it. So while they're watching the video showing you do this project, they can buy these things right underneath it. That's actually $12 per 1,000 impressions. And you have to spend $100,000 in a quarter. So I want to try it, but I don't
only
see that happening. Yeah. So my suggestion, if you have a great video that works, put it in a blog post and do a promoted pin to your blog post.
Yeah, that's what we've seen too, or especially if you're heavy trying to grow your YouTube channel. One of the best paths that we've seen is very similar to that, or even creating a pinnable image that has a picture of the video in between with like the play button, because people naturally want to click to try to get it to play. And then when they click, you can link it to your YouTube channel or YouTube video, which is like you kind of skip the blog post piece and they're primed and ready to watch the video because they see the play button. So they're kind of expecting it. So that's one route, or then like the blog post, like you talked about, putting it within the blog post.
Now, I think you'd have a real hard time getting that approved, because anything that looks like a clickable button.
True. Yes. With a promoted pin. Yes. I'm thinking organic. Yeah. With promoted pin, you'd have to use the words video. Can you use the word video?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that maybe works. Okay.
You could probably even say click to play.
Oh.
You could probably say that. You just can't make the image. It's tricky.
Okay.
Try it. I mean, worst can happen, it gets rejected.
Right.
So CPC, cost per click. For engagement, a similar thing. Can you see me? Because it looks like my video.
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Impressions, just how many times your pin has been seen. But I know one of the biggest questions people usually have about analytics is, how do I know what a good click-through rate is? And that one for traffic is between 0.2 and 0.3%. So if you're getting lower than that, make sure that your targeting matches up with your content, and make sure that your image and description are good. Try a new copy, try a new image to get that up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So how hard is it to add the conversion pixel? Kate did it.
I did it.
It was easy.
People, I don't think you know how much like I see HTML and just like I'm out. I'm dialing up an email like, who can do this for me? But it really is, if you have a WordPress site, it's very simple to add to the head section of your blog. You should have a header and a footer to add that. It's very, very simple. It's just a one-time thing, and then you're done. And it's something, like you said, should be done well in advance, not the day before you run a promoted pin. Right, yes, right. Tina, that's right. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
Oh, real nice, Tina.
Tina knows that for sure.
Tina, help me. Where can you find the pixel code? You're going to go to Pinterest, ads, and then conversion tracking, and it's going to give you your conversion tags. It even gives you instructions, or you can send it to your web developer. But I think what I used was a plugin called Header Footer. That's what it was called. Go to WordPress.org. Yeah, it's really easy.
That's what I did too. It's important too to know if somebody, I don't know if we have people watching internationally, but if they have a business account, you have to have a business account to get promoted pins. So if you haven't converted yet to that, you won't have promoted pins on, when you log into your profile, you'll see ads on the upper left, and then you'll see that in the drop down. But if you don't have business account, you can't get promoted pins. And then do you know what countries have it available? I know the UK, Canada,
US, Canada, New Zealand, Ireland, and Australia.
Okay, so if you are in those countries, you have it, but if you are not in those countries, you don't have it yet, which could save you some frustration as you're looking for it, wondering, I'm in Germany, why can I not find it? But that's just, Pinterest, I think, is releasing it to countries very strategically, I'm assuming. So it just is not available everywhere quite yet.
Yeah, they're kind of a small team, and they are very hands-on. I mean, if you get a pin rejected, it's because a person saw it and said it didn't follow the rules. And if you write in and say, I think it should, it's a human being. So
I've done that.
I can understand.
It's
true. Me too.
I've had it rejected.
Yeah. Oh, me too. All the time. Mm-hmm. Okay. So conversion pixel, what if you only have a Shopify? I'm pretty sure conversion pixel on Shopify I would suggest you go a little further and do event tracking if you have Shopify, so you can keep track of your actual sales and retarget when people add to cart.
Yeah.
There's a plugin for Shopify called Pinoculars, which was developed by a programmer that I worked with, and he built it out of frustration of trying to figure out how to manually build this stuff. So check that out. That's in the Shopify App Store. Okay, so here's a question. What's the best way to get your pin seen if you don't have a budget to promote? This is kind of like a huge Pinterest organic 101 question, but maybe we could just give some of our favorite tips, Kate.
Yeah, I would say number one, if somebody doesn't have a budget to promote, be super smart about the keywords that you're adding to your pin description, because Pinterest does look at those keywords and that how it kind of organizes these pins and matches up searches and decides what to put in the smart feed. And a lot of people forget that that's a very valuable tool in your organic strategy, is to smartly keyword your pin description with a sentence that describes, what it is this pin is about. And now we can add a hashtag. 1 to 2 hashtags is what I would recommend, and make that super simple. But I would say that's number one. Every single pinnable image on your website has to have a keyworded description. And it doesn't have to be like keyword stuffed. You do want to make it natural, like a sentence. But that would be number one that I would tell people. And then to be consistent on the platform, to be actively using it. Now, that doesn't mean you have to manually pin. I love Tailwind. I use Tailwind all the time. And I'm not a big manual pinner, except for when I'm like in bed, trying to find a bedspread that I want to buy. And then I'm like pinning 25 things to all my secret boards. But beyond that, for business, get a good scheduler so that you can remain consistent instead of, I pin today, stop for a week, pin this week, pin in 2 weeks. Being consistent on the platform and constantly showing yourself to be a contributor with your content and other people's content. I think those are probably the two most powerful things I could say that you could do without a budget to promote. And then Tailwind is what, $14.99 a month? Is that how much it is?
Yeah, and that's less if you do the year.
Yeah, less if you do a year. So, it's really economical to just spend that much money into scheduling, and then you can, schedule 10 pins a day just to be super consistent. So those would be my two things, best ways to get your pin seen.
Okay. Mine would be Tailwind Tribes.
Oh yeah.
So right now I'm looking at a tribe we started about, I don't even think it's maybe been a month. And I've put in, 47 pieces of content. Some hours, some people we want to support. And it's gotten 156 reshares and a reach of 4.4 million.
Nice.
So, yeah. So I'm going to pin them anyway. So to drop them in a tribe, it really greatly increases reach. So that's free for anybody to use. Just Google Tailwind Tribes and then whatever your industry is.
And just keep at it. I think that's also another thing, is that Pinterest marketing is very slow, and it can be frustrating sometimes to feel like you're not making any progress, but it really does take a good 6 to 8 months of investing and knowing your profile, knowing the pins that are getting in interaction, which I think is a really good foundation going into promoted pins, because then you kind of have a really good understanding of what's working organically or what people are clicking on. You just have a good picture of maybe your avatar on Pinterest and how you want to target them, how you want to talk to them. And I don't think that can be done just cold. You open a Pinterest account today and go. You really have to use it and start figuring it out as a typical user, then a business user, and then to an advertiser.
Yeah, that is great advice, which I have stolen and passed on to many other people. So thank you.
Yes, no problem.
Just a quick little kind of techie question that Leslie has avoided promoted pins because she's heard of bloggers who've had issues with Pinterest overcharging or charging after the blogger turned the ad off. Legit concern. I've seen maybe 1 or 2 comments about that, but they have been resolved. So
yes,
whether it was, and I actually know somebody who kind of did it by accident, realized later, and they even gave her money back. So I think that they're doing their best. And I wouldn't have an issue with trust with them. Yeah.
I would say too that a lot of the people that I think, you have something like Facebook or even like Twitter or Instagram where their ads platform are so much, they're way more advanced because they've been around a lot longer. So I think we have to remember that like the promoted pins, I mean, how long has it been out? 2 years now? Well, about 2 years. So there's still this evolution of what the kinks and what works and doesn't work. And that can happen with any company, right? Like I got charged by a mattress company for a frame I bought just the other day. He's like, well, I accidentally entered too much on your credit card. But he gave me a refund. So I think even established companies can make mistakes, or their systems can. I would definitely not let that stop you from jumping in and just testing it for yourself, because you could have great luck and that could be the thing that holds you back and missing out on that good traffic.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll enter in a low bid and it will say, good bid. And I was like, yes.
Nice.
Like a little prize, Yes. Yeah, definitely try it. Here's a question from Belinda. Are there many people on Tailwind from the UK? I'm wondering if you're asking if there are many people on Pinterest, probably from the UK. Yes, there are. So promoted pins are open to the UK. And the other funny thing about the UK, or actually most places besides the US, is that the makeup there, it's more 50-50 as far as gender goes. So there are a lot more men on Pinterest in the UK than there are in the US. I think men are starting to catch on in the US, but for some reason other countries are not so off balance.
And I feel like I should know this, so maybe I'm just having like a brain moment. Can I target the UK in my promoted pin and not the US? I can turn it off. That's right. I can. Okay.
You sure can. And you might be able to find a cheap little opportunity if you do that.
Yeah, because I get actually a lot of people from the UK. So might be good, especially if people know that their products are being sold there. Oh, that's very smart. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Oh, here's a question of what we were talking about a minute ago. The advantage of starting a tribe. So the advantage of starting a tribe rather than joining one that's already in existence is probably mainly that you can set the rules, you can make the subject, and you have control over the content in there. You can kick people out, you can add admins. But the biggest one would be if there isn't one in your industry already, you could start one. So I saw one today, a brand new one for yarn craft. So there's a tribe for just about everything. But if you can't find yours, that would be the advantage. But you need to get into one before you can start one. So get yourself in and then you can start one. Okay, so I've been kind of saving hashtags because I'm very excited about this. Yes. So let's talk about them in the context of promoted pins first.
Okay.
They do not help. They do not hurt. They do not show up in a hashtag search. That felt kind of like a Dr. Seuss, but
it did.
I do not like green eggs and ham.
Yeah.
But I'm using them anyway.
Okay.
And the reason why is because when people save my promoted pin, I want the hashtags there because I want those versions of my pin to show up in hashtags.
Okay. Smart.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll let you say what you think of them and I'll save mine for after.
I haven't landed anywhere yet, to be honest. And this is typical to my personality and my Pinterest marketing, I guess, personality is I like to wait and watch because Pinterest will make changes to things and then they'll refine it. And then they'll, once they release it, there tends to be this little working out of how it works. And we saw that even, back in August when we saw them appear and they were hyperlinking and then they weren't, and then there was a number and then there wasn't. And so you see this kind of push pull. And if you as a marketer are being push pulled with that, it exhausts you in your productivity in business anyway. And so I tend to be a hold back and wait and see. So we don't yet know, and because I focus a lot on organic traffic, we don't yet know how it fits organically in yet. I do know that it's probably wise to add them 1 to 2 to probably each description. I think that is smart. I wouldn't go back and update your older ones by any means. but I just don't know quite yet how those are popping up in people's feeds, which is always something that's difficult for us to see on Pinterest sometimes, just because everybody's feed is so unique to what they're searching, right? Like somebody could be searching cats mixed with Pinterest marketing. Who knows? You know, like there's just, it's Elisa maybe, animals and Pinterest marketing.
It's usually ketogenic recipes and Pinterest marketing. It's quite a mix.
Oh my gosh. So I guess, you know, that being said, I'm still in the wait and watch. I'm just kind of hanging back and going, I want to see what they do over the next month or two before I say how we use them. I like how they're effective. I think Pinterest came out with a really good article the other day, actually explaining them officially, which I appreciate when they do that. Cats and Pinterest.
Yes, that's in the help file. So see if I can.
Yeah, and when they do that, then we know, you know, we see this like 4 to 5 week ramp up before we get the official release, and then we get to figure it out. So,
right now.
Yeah.
I have to say I'm excited about them.
I actually am too, to be honest, because I think it goes along with how we're kind of trained in social media in general a little bit. Not that Pinterest is a social media platform. Search and discovery.
Search and discovery, that's right. So cats and Melissa, cats and Pinterest marketing is Kate reading my mind. Yes, she is. Yes, she's very good at that. So here is the link to one of the official articles. I just dropped that in the chat. And what I'm excited about is now we have two ways to be found on Pinterest. So we have the regular search, and now we have Pinterest search. Now, regular search is subject to all the algorithm stuff, right? Which is fairly complicated. They've told us some of how it works, but no platform's going to tell you all of it. Hashtags, however, are served up for fresh pins. So whether you do a hashtag search or you click on a hashtag in a pin, it's pulling in hashtagged pins that are fresh.
Like chronological.
So like you said, you wouldn't go back and edit. And Thomas Lundy was asking, should you edit older pins and add hashtags? No, because the ones that are going to show up in the hashtag search are your fresh pins. So there's no point. And I think when we first saw them came out, we thought, are we going to be punished as marketers because we followed the direction not to use hashtags? And I said all along, I don't think Pinterest will do that to us because they know they want us to follow the directions. I don't think we'll be punished. And that's exactly how it turned out. They said it's going to be fresh pins. So there's no need to worry like I'm behind because I didn't use hashtags. No, just start using them now.
Yeah.
The official Pinterest recommendation is under 20. I think it's really hard to find 19 relevant hashtags. And the last thing that we want is for everybody to start stuffing with hashtags. Just try to make them useful, right?
Right.
This is how we can do our part to make it more useful.
I also, like, whenever I see a change too, what I also wonder about is the typical user. And I go to all my friends who I know use Pinterest all the time, but they're not in the online world. And I ask them what they think of it. And what's interesting is that anything new tends to feel a little bit invasive to them. Like, why are you messing with my stuff?
My happy place.
Yeah, my happy place. So I guess I would say we're waiting for them to catch on as well. And what we've seen in any type of platform is when the user catches on, it carries much further than when we as marketers try to push it a little bit further. And they're like, wait, it's the same thing with video. I think on Pinterest is that sometimes it feels like a speed bump to typical users. And they're like, why are you that's Facebook, that's not here. So I think we just have to wait and see how they use it and follow their lead and then kind of go along with that. So I think that's how I would say that plays into why I'm watching it, is to say, what do you guys, what are you as a typical user doing with it? Did you notice it? Is it weird?
Yeah. I would be surprised if many people besides Pinterest marketers are actually doing a hashtag search.
I agree.
I think that probably what's going to happen is people more going to click on a hashtag in one pin and end up on others. A couple of quick questions. Do we put them in organically into the description? No, it's like, so inside of a sentence or at the bottom, like Instagram? I've been putting them at the bottom. And
I've
especially, have you? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that there was an official recommendation on that, but I want people to see my description for people. And I want the rest to be kind of like an added button. That's just how I've done it. But
that's a good point.
Okay, so what is a relevant hashtag? Okay, so if you search hashtag Pinterest marketing, you're going to see a ton of tailwind content.
Yes, I love it.
Probably a lot of simple pin media as well.
Maybe I've done a few.
One, have you? Okay, so that makes sense. But if I were to put WWE, World Wrestling or whatever, that's not relevant. That's not what people follow. Oh, I can tell you why.
Oh my gosh. It's so awesome. Well, you don't have to, but it's so awesome.
Yeah. BuzzSumo, Susan Moeller wrote an awesome article about their social media presence, and I did some research on their Pinterest account. So they actually do an amazing job.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go check it out.
But for me to be tried to, even if we someday have, here's your trending hashtags, if I were to try to use a trending hashtag that wasn't relevant, it's not going to help me. It's going to annoy people and it's going to ruin Pinterest. So we are not going to do that.
Yeah. Yes.
Did I just pull that out of thin air? No, Tina, now you know why.
Oh, it would be so much better if you did, though. WWE.
I'm a big fan. Yeah. So relevant hashtag, think like Kate says, think like a regular old user, not like a marketer, and think, what would I want to see if I click that hashtag? Now, Pinterest will also give you just suggestions. So if you start typing your hashtag and you start typing it in, it will give like autofill options and how many times it's been used. That I have used to help me figure out, like, kind of refine what I thought I should use and use some other suggestions too.
And they're listing the numbers next to it now, correct? Like how many there are. But have we found that that's accurate? Or I mean, it's hard to tell if they list 9,000. It's not like we're going to go through it.
But I would say it's probably in flux still because like if you do Pinterest marketing, I didn't even see that come up today, and I know I've used it a bunch of times. So it's not every single hashtag that's been used, but it's still probably pretty useful. Okay, so I think I got all those questions. So let's talk about what we should be promoting right now. Okay.
Ooh, I love October. It's my birthday month.
Aha.
Yeah, I'm a fall.
Weather, right?
It is. It's like the best time to get family photos. So I would say people are going to be searching for family photos or photography things because this is beautiful foliage. I'm sure trips to Vermont are on the top of the list. These are not in our list, but these are just coming off the top of my head. So do you want me to go through the list? Because I'll just keep going.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go for it.
Halloween everything, which for a lot of people, Halloween rivals Christmas in spending. So that's something to note, that people are really primed and ready to purchase costumes, do all that kind of stuff. Decor, harvest festivals too. That's another one as well. Anything fall foods, trips. If you're a local person, maybe doing also like local tours, like we have out here in Oregon. We have something called the Fruit Loop, which is up in Hood River. I know it's apple and pears. So we have the Apple and Pear Festival that people can go on the Fruit Loop and then drink wine, of course. So it's super fun up there. Winter fashion is also starting to appear, like anything that's for winter, winter fashion, winter cold months. A lot of people, I did see someone post that they had snow the other day. So something like winter prep, winter survival for the house and car and all that kind of stuff. Anything comfort food, like Croctober is a term, slow cooker, instant pot, stews. And then we have Oktoberfest. That's another one.
Okay. Now are we going into what we should be promoting or?
This is pinning still, but not quite yet promoting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then we'll go into promoting, but I would say these are things this month, but those could be promoted too. This is more what things are kind of what you should be pinning this month too with those things.
Yeah.
Go ahead and go with promoting. I'll let you talk about that.
Okay. And I think we should probably talk about why we have two separate lists too.
Yes, we should.
Right. Because with the organic pinning, like you were talking about, we had some things that were a little further out, like even Christmas decor.
Yeah.
Yes, and do it yourself.
Thanksgiving.
Would be good to pin now, Thanksgiving. Because people do start looking, yes, but also we need to give our pins time to get out into the smart feed. And what we should be promoting right now are things that we just wrote and we need to get seen right now.
Mm-hmm.
or things that you wrote last year that you want to give an extra boost to. So they might be out there. You want them to be seen more. So again, that would be Halloween. That people spend a lot of money on Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Fall trends in fashion.
Yep. Pumpkin, anything pumpkin. In fact, the promoted pins that I just ran for a client of ours was like roasted pumpkin seeds, but they were like a different take on it, like honey roasted pumpkin seeds. So
sounds good.
Yep.
So, yeah. So that and costume ideas. So the same thing. Yeah. Just a lot of fall. So basically what you should be promoting right now is what people are collecting and just about ready to buy right now.
And I jumped ahead and went to pinning. Elisa was on track. I did.
That's okay. That's how I was getting confused.
Yes. We're into this new system, promoted, pinning, and then planning for the future. So that's what we're thinking of this.
Right. Okay. So then our next little section is content planning. So if you are a blogger, hopefully you are, because that's how you create great content to be seen on Pinterest. What kind of things should you be working on furiously now?
I just did a podcast about this last week, and it was about gift guides. I love gift guides. So if you are, I think in any type of space, you could do a gift guide for people that they could. Mine was actually, it's coming out next week. It's a gift guide for the work at home mom. I'm super excited about it, but I think anybody could do a gift guide in their niche, and that podcast, I don't have the link to it, but we'll link to it somehow.
Right now. Yep.
But we talk a lot about that whole, it's a big shopping time. So if you sell a product, maybe you have a special discount you're going to run on your product for Black Friday or Cyber Monday. Getting all of your planning ready for that, I think, is really important right now since we're going into this strong buying season. And that's bloggers who have affiliate promotions where they make money, affiliate commissions off of what they sell during this time. So I really think that November is a big, big time to do that. And then Christmas, obviously, and there's Kwanzaa and Hanukkah and a bunch of other things in there, but really looking out towards how are you going to be set up well with November and December. And I also think that's a little bit important for you to do because you do want to enjoy your season. And I've heard a lot of people say that they feel very frantic or they feel very last minute when it comes to their life in general during that time, but also with their content marketing. And so just plan in advance so that you can enjoy your holidays with your family and you're not trying to get up a blog post or trying to pin or do whatever, but really think about what November and December hold for you so that you can get that firmed up. And it doesn't always have to be a lot. It just has to be smart with who your avatar is and who your target is.
Yeah. And you could probably repurpose what you're creating. So if you have a gift guide, you could probably create, how many images would you create for that, Kate?
You could create a lot. Yeah. And you could change them year over year and then promote that. That's another thing too. In November, December, we can talk about that in November and December.
That's right. So now you're writing it and then you're going to pin it and promote it. Yep.
Yeah.
We'll be here next month. We'll be here to help you figure out what you should be doing, what you should be working on.
Yes. And I would definitely say, like, if you guys want inspiration on gift guides, like, it's one of the things that I really, really love to do. So hit that up and comment, and I'll start giving you ideas just because I love them. So
awesome. All right. All the gift guides. Yes, Tina is probably on the case.
She is so good at that.
I know she is. She is. Okay. So we have a couple little items to help you make some progress throughout the month. And it's a good reminder for me too. I like these monthly tip things. So our tip of the month, you probably already could figure out. So right now, we're all excited about fall and colder weather, right? So I got to wear a sweater. I was in New York this weekend.
And you're in a tank top now.
I know. Well, it's not now. Cold in North Carolina, but it was fun to wear a sweater and a jacket and be a little chilly. So everybody's really excited for that. So anything you have in that kind of niche of warm, cozy, comfort foods, crock pots, sweaters, people are ready for it.
And our monthly action item, which I really, really like this, is a lot of people have commented actually lately that they feel frustrated that they're slowing down in follower growth. And one of the glitches that we've seen come up is when people try to follow on Pinterest, they get this warning sometimes that says like suspicious activity. And so we've seen this follower number really slow down. But one way to kind of circumvent that is remind your audience that you're on Pinterest. You know, sometimes we forget to engage our Facebook or our Instagram or even our blog audience or our newsletter audience. So leaving a link in your newsletter to either pin that specific article or to join you on your Christmas board or your Halloween board, or to just get them engaged with your whole process, that can be a way to get followers from the outside instead of, you know, trying to continue to get followers from the inside while they have this glitch going on. And from what I understand, they know it's a known glitch. It's something that they're working on, but it's, you know, it's a good thing for us to be reminded again to go back to our audience to tell them that we are over there, and then get them to pin for you. Sometimes it's as simple as saying, pin this to your Thanksgiving board. And some people have even started hyperlinking a link. So they'll create a blog post, and underneath that big Pinterest image, they'll just put a link and they'll say, pin this to your Thanksgiving board. And that will be the link to that specific pin. So when somebody clicks on it, it pops up the pin and you can save it for later. So remember, sometimes we need to be told, which is kind of sounds elementary, but I think it's a really important way to see if you can jog traffic that way. And it's all about trying to uncover more ways to get more traffic. And so I think that's one of the monthly action item.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. So our last little thing is a little gift to you. It is a Pinterest checklist, which will help you create gorgeous pinnable images. So that is in the notes as well. Does it show up? But yeah, we will be back in a month to share more of these monthly action items and other things to help you get your Pinterest working the best it can for you. New things that we have tried and learned and loved and are excited about. So, Kate, thanks for being here.
Yeah, anytime. I love it.
Yeah, me too. And thank you, everybody, for being here. And I appreciate all the wonderful questions. So we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.